Officials at South Carolina's Clemson University have determined that a complaint issued by the Freedom from Religion Foundation alleging that Clemson's football coach, Dabo Swinney, imposes a religious compliance standard on his student athletes has no merit. In a letter sent to the university, the FFRF said, "What we have observed in the records is that the football coaching staff is doing a number of things to promote Christianity to their student athletes." Clemson responded with a written statement of support for the football coach and his program, stating, "Participation in religious activities is purely voluntary and there are no repercussions for students who decline to do so. We're not aware of any complaints from current or former student athletes about feeling pressured or forced to participate in religious activities." Some recorded instances with the FFRF had taken issue, which include busing players to Sunday services, bi-weekly Bible studies for coaches, a chapel for players the night before each game, which Clemson University calls voluntary 3 weekly devotionals, and Bibles being distributed to players. In other instances, following a practice in 2012, Clemson's star receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, was baptized on the 50-yard line in a livestock trough. Swinney has also reportedly told prospective players, "I'm a Christian. If you have a problem with that, you don't have to be here," about which FFRF co-president Laurie Gaylor said football players should not be subjected to religious tests to play. Recently, the Christian Post published an article focusing on the large number of failing Baptist ministries in the US each year. While the National Baptist Convention continues to add several new congregations each year, with 1,300 registered in 2013 alone, the number is offset by the culling of between 800 to 1,000 flocks annually. According to Midwestern Seminary's Director of Center for Church Planting, Joshua Hedger, churches are closing in large part because they have either become disconnected from culture and or disconnected from Scripture. When this happens, life leaves the church. In an effort to stem this tide, the Baptist Convention intends to implement a position called church planters to revitalise dwindling congregations by supplementing or replacing current church leadership on a case-by-case basis. Hedger stated that some churches simply need a change in leadership and culture to take place. Some fully shut down and allow a new church to take over their facilities, assets and people, while others find themselves anywhere between these two extremes. Despite their sordid past, and since the 1979 rise of the moral majority, Catholic and Protestant conservatives in America have found it politically expedient to join forces, raising awareness about social issues. This unlikely partnership could become strained as Pope Francis pushes a platform of economic justice. In late 2013, Francis outlined a new direction for the Catholic Church, one that sharply criticised trickle-down economics, in which secular culture supported an idolatry of money that would create a new tyranny. Some people continue to defend trickle-down theories which assume that economic growth, encouraged by a free market, will inevitably succeed in bringing about greater justice and inclusiveness in the world. Francis said, "This opinion, which has never been confirmed by the facts, expresses a crude and naive trust in the goodness of those wielding economic power and in the sacralized workings of the prevailing economic system." Meanwhile, the excluded are still waiting. Although the Pope's statement seemed to fly directly against 30 years of Republican political economic theory, prominent conservatives have been hesitant to rebuke the pontiff. Senator John McCain said, "His economic perspective I'm not particularly enamoured with, but his advocacy for the poor, his lifestyle example, and his more modern outlook on social issues I've been very impressed with." Former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin told Jake Tapper of CNN that Francis' remarks on the economy to me sound kind of liberal, before seemingly rescinding that statement later on Facebook by saying, "It was not my intention to be critical of Pope Francis. I was reminding viewers that we need to do our own homework on news subjects, and I hadn't done mine yet on the Pope's recent comments, as reported by the media." Likewise, according to Politico, Senator Pat Toomey, a Republican from Pennsylvania, downplayed conservative anger over the Pope's message by saying that he's entitled to his opinion, but I think we should look carefully at what he's saying. It's easy to draw superficial conclusions from some of the things he said. I think he's a wonderful leader for the church. Contributing further to the divide of religion and politics within Republican ranks, a Public Religion Research Institute study showed that white evangelical Protestants agree more with the official stance of the Catholic Church on social issues than with most Catholics. 78% of white evangelicals said sex between people of the same gender was a sin, while only 49% agree with that position. 69% of white evangelicals oppose gay marriage, compared with 37% of Catholics. The Pope's call for economic justice complicates the relationship because it calls both Catholics and evangelicals to cooperate beyond a narrow band of cultural politics. The Atlantic's Robert P. Jones said.